Hi Gemini, let's have a look at your astrology and tarot for this new moon that's coming up in Aquarius on the 21st of January. So it's the new moon in Aquarius at 3 degrees on the 21st of this month for New Zealand and Australia, and the 22nd for the rest of the world. So we look at new moons because they are initiation point into a new cycle for the month, and the astrology is like the imprint of the energies for that month. So looking at what sectors its placement is in for each sign, I think is important. So the Sun Moon conjunction, which is what a new moon is when the Sun and the Moon join. That's why we don't see the Moon in the sky, because they were, according to, from our perspective, exactly next to each other. Of course, they're not up there in the sky, but they are from our perspective. Everything with astrology is from our perspective, from Earth. So with the Sun and Moon there sitting in your ninth, this is very much about, the ninth sector is about freedom. It's about wanting more freedom, travel, and also wanting to gain more understanding or knowledge of things. And, when I say things, it's when we're wanting to increase our higher mind of understanding. So it can be quite a spiritual placement for those that are into belief and understanding, or it could be a cultural placement for those that are interested in culture and worldly events or worldly situations, or even learning about other countries, and this is why it's the position of travel. So with having the Sun Moon there, and it's conjuncting Pluto, so it's quite a powerful new moon with Pluto sitting right next to it. It's still sitting in the sign of Capricorn at the 8 degrees, so it puts it into the sector behind the sector it's in. So in other words, Pluto's in your 8th and the Sun Moon is sitting in your 9th. And with Pluto in your 8th sector, the 8th sector's it's a very deep placement of Scorpio, and it's holds that sort of going into things more deeply. And with this is sort of saying that this is a time when you will be learning more, or you have been, I should say. Pluto has been sitting in your 8th sector for a long time. But what happens is that when it's triggered by the inner planets, that's when you're going to really notice its effect. And, while it's been there, and I say a long time, we're talking years, Pluto has been sort of slowly, quietly, underliningly, if you like, transforming your understanding of things relative to the 8th. And this is all about the cycles of life, death, and renewal. It's also about what we're wanting to release and let go of, what we're needing to address and understand, and also release sometimes to move forward into the next sector of the 9th, which is where we find growth and deeper understanding. So with it there, it's said you wouldn't have been feeling much effect at times, possibly, feeling, because the 8th sector does relate to other people's money, but it is relative to our money. It connects to trusts and family situations around money. And Pluto there would have felt like you didn't have any control over your financial situation, not your direct financial situation, but more so when it comes to either trusts or the control of situations. Even investments can be sitting in that place. So, if that's been an issue with the Sun Moon there over this period of time, it's sort of a time when you can actually take more control of the circumstances around you. And also, especially relative to freedom, because there's quite a few things going on here with your 9th sector. We also have Saturn sitting in the 9th, and Venus is coming up to, Venus is, I should say, conjuncting it at this particular time on the 21st, and it's an exact conjunction. It's very tight, and again, it's sitting in the 9th. So this is going to be encouraging you to really look more seriously at financially, how you can afford to travel or have more freedom in your life, but also relationships around you. They may be under question, or you may be looking at, commitment, but in a way of, making commitment like in the sense of travel, or doing some form of growth together within relationship. So it's, it's a double-edged sword. Venus Saturn can make us feel quite, it can be a cooling down of the emotions, but it also is where we, we have a deep sense of loyalty and commitment. So with this Sun Moon conjunct Pluto, it's that combination is all squaring what's called the Moon's nodes. Now the Moon's nodes relate to our connections and our associations, our friendships, our love relationships, our our family, or even our business colleagues. And with that, the square, it means that there's going to be a lot of interaction with others. That's sitting in the nodes are sitting in your 12th and 6th sector. So you've got the South Node in your 6th sector of work. So there will be people that you connect with in your workplace that you feel a strong bond with, and you're feeling like you've had strong past lives with, because the node is all about where we've been and it's relative to our previous lifetimes. And the South Node and the North Node, the opposite point, is all about where we're going, why we came here to, to achieve what we want, the direction. And so the energy of the placement of that in your own natal chart is really indicative of, how you're, what you came here to do and what you will be ending up with, in your later years of life. So, with this, it's saying like that this Sun square node is all about connections and ties to family. Now, with it in your 12th, it's not such a powerful placement. It's more in your unconscious placement. It's the unconscious sector. It's also, again, relative to past life stuff. So there's more, I would say this is more of a deeper stirring in your unconscious about where you're wanting to really go, but you may not be able to see that clearly, especially until Mercury, which has been stationary, is stationary at the moment, and it's going to start to move forward by the end of this week. It actually goes direct on the 18th, which is in a couple of days' time. So, with that, it's like sitting there on the 8th, and again, this is relating for you. What am I wanting to let go of or release? And it's squaring Jupiter. So Mercury Jupiter is about ideas and connect. It's about moving forward. Lots of really good ideas to move forward. It's about signing paperwork. It can be about signing business deals. Whatever communications or literature that you're looking at around this time is going to be for your productive growth. So that position of your productive growth is sitting in your 11th sector of friendships and connections. So I feel there's going to be some assistance through others to help you to move forward. So, this is happening again over the next week or two. Now Mars has been in Gemini for quite a while. It's been doing a really long hike in Gemini because it's done a retrograde through there. It's just gone direct and it's starting to move forward now, and it sits in your first house. So, this is a great time for work and a great time for moving forward and taking the action. And with it being in your first position, this is when you can openly express what you're really wanting from your work situations, and even ask for a pay rise or ask for any changes you're wanting. But it's a really strong time for work and for that action. But with it going retrograde, you may have thought you were going forward and then feel like you're going backwards now. I'm talking about the recent past. Now with it moving forward again, you're going to be able to see the actions that you've taken are going to prove to be positive and productive. And especially as we move into May, I know I'm still covering January, but this is a great year ahead with Mars energy and Jupiter creating a lot of expansion and growth for people, especially those that are wanting to set themselves up in either their career or business. So Uranus has been sitting stationary and about to go direct too. Now Uranus is it's doing this direct movement, even though it doesn't move very fast, on this new moon. So it's almost highlighted, even though we don't have any aspects to Uranus except for a wide nodal aspect, which has been happening now for a good 6, probably 8 months now, or longer. Uranus is still highlighted, and though it's not telling us exactly what Uranus is connecting with or what it's doing, there's a sense of Uranus is going to be bringing out sudden changes for a lot of people, especially with this Sun conjunct Moon squaring, conjuncting Pluto and then squaring the node. So, what we have going on at a general level is quite strong fated connections through others. Now for Gemini, this could be connections with overseas, with it being in the 9th sector, or whatever these fated changes are through others. It could be about your own personal growth. When I say personal growth, not to do with your personality, but more to do with your outer world, your understanding of things and how the world works. So, like I said, travel and moving into a more exciting time for Gemini. So again, we have another emphasis on this 9th position. February the 2nd is when the Sun will square this Uranus energy that I'm describing. So again, this is going to be, in the 9th sector for the Sun, and then in the 12th sector for Uranus. So to me, this feels like sudden ideas on travel or places that you want to be that are deep within your soul. So in other words, there's somewhere you wanting to go and you don't know why, but there would be a past life reason that you don't know about. So it's like part of your soul is there, and this is what happens when we keep incarnating here. We leave parts of ourselves in different places, whether it's because we planted a tree in one place or we buried our body in another place. But these experiences that we have, they're set in a almost like a holographic energy in these particular parts of the world. So it's a time when your unconscious is going to be pulling you towards experiencing that more through physically going and visiting these particular places without you even knowing that that's what that you were there in the past. So it's like when you're there, that's when you'll possibly get what I'm talking about. And Uranus energy is really strongly so strong right now that I feel like this is a time when we're going to be having a lot of realizations or downloads relative to who we are and where we've come from, because we are moving into a space over the next 2 years of where we're going, and we have to understand who we are first and where we've been to really move forward. So with that, we've got it on the 2nd of February. It looks really sort of changes in circumstances, sort of excitement about possibly travel or something new that you're wanting to do relative to growth and understanding, let's say higher understanding. You've got a Venus-Mars square. Sorry, we have a Venus-Mars square, meaning not just you, everybody. There's a Venus-Mars square happening on the 7th of February. Now, Gemini likes Venus and Mars together. It's very much about the Gemini sign, the two energies, the male, the female, not as in the sun and the moon, but more relative to the opposite sex as coming together to be in union, to share. And this energy is a lot about that. It's about utilizing productive energy, whether it's coming together with another person for a particular objective. The Venus square Mars is sort of the perfect time for conception, if you like. And so that's around the 7th February if you're looking to have a baby. But Mars is sitting in your 1st, and with Venus in your 9th, again, this is a time when it's going to prove to be fortunate through partner and through connections. Could be a time when you make connections and feel a very strong attraction to another. But it's also a time when you may be taking action around finances as well, and either booking that trip or taking some action for some more productive work, possibly, or business for your future. The other thing you've got going on in the 8th is we have a Mercury conjunct Pluto. Now, Mercury conjuncts Pluto on the 10th of February, and this is sitting again in your 8th. So again, this could be a month for Gemini where you're really strongly looking at what you're really wanting to release now, what no longer serves you, and what direction you want to go in for the future with new plans and ideas. So let's have a look. We also could be dealing with money, other people's money, banking situations relative to funds and trusts. Let's have a look at your tarot for this period of time, and like I said, it's from the 21st, 22nd to the 19th, 20th February. So what does the universe want Gemini to know about for this period of time? Opportunities through others. Oops. For these spreads that I do, for these collective spreads that I'm doing, I'm using a new pack, so they are a lot more slippery than my older pack that I use for personal readings. Okay. Well, this is looking really good for Gemini. Really good. Wow, you've got 1, 2, 3 aces so far. So there is a whole new cycle coming up, and there is really fast moving forward movement happening. Mars in your first sector's, you know, it's doing its work. It's actually getting things moving for you, and you're going to start to see this forward movement. So there's a new plan coming up for Gemini. They've got really good ideas. Those that are I've got the Gemini card here, actually the male card, you know, and so those that are like in industries, big industries around engineering or mechanics or anything, you know, to do with a lot of mental work. Sometimes that's relative to accounting, but that's more of a Virgo thing. You know, but this is all about new ideas that are coming up. So you're either going to be incorporating these new ideas into either business situations or into just having more personal control of your own situations. So yeah, great ideas, Gemini. I mean, you always do have good ideas. You're ruled by Mercury. Generally, with Gemini, it involves others. Gemini is a twin sign, and they are esoterically ruled by Venus, which makes sense why they're the Lovers card in tarot. So, you know, they do like to have that other person to bounce off these ideas. But yes, excellent opportunities. Now, this will be really relevant for any Gemini ascendants as well. It's the same with the astrology. It's relevant for Gemini ascendant. And you can even look at your moon sign as well. So, yay. Gemini has an opportunity here to really make the changes they've been wanting for quite a while. Feeling a bit tired of, you know, not feeling like they're getting ahead. You know, they know that they're smart and they can do more, and just feeling like, okay, if I can't achieve what I'm wanting here, I'm moving on to a situation where I can. And that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to have, when I say you're moving on, you're either moving on to better situations already where you are. Great time to be asking for an increase or asking for what you want in your work situation, or great time to be making changes. There's also moving property changes, really strong energy of moving property for Gemini here, which I hadn't picked up on the astrology. So that's really interesting because that's showing a lot more security. So you're moving is to create more security, but it's also to create more inner peace, because you have the Star card. It looks like that's what you're really wanting, is just an environment where you can feel a bit more connected. Especially if you've got, you know, been so busy with work and there's so much going on with work, you really need a very peaceful space to come home to, somewhere where you can connect with nature and to get out of the mind and to ground yourself. Gemini is definitely, you know, needing grounding because they have so much mental activity going on, and we all need grounding. We all have mental activity, obviously, but some signs just have a lot more activity going on. Now, that could be any sign, of course. You know, combinations would describe that would make you more mercurial in nature, but of course Gemini have that naturally. The same with Virgo, as in ruled by Mercury, and are needing you know, to sometimes get out of their head. But like I said, your head is your asset, and you know, your ideas are brilliant, and you know, moving forward with this plan is fantastic. If you're wanting to do any renovations, you know, it's like physical work being done, improvements being done, that looks like it's a plan as well. Maybe you haven't been able to see, because almost Geminis could even design these plans, because they, you know, also very good with architecture and with ideas and with visually seeing and putting things together in a creative way. So, you know, you could be responsible for the design as well around any building work. So absolutely, we have a career opportunities coming. We have career opportunities coming for you. We have much better financial situation where you're earning more, but also for some that are looking at moving, you're going to move into a situation where you're going to go, this feels very secure, this is where I want to be. You're going to feel settled in your new move. And financially you'll feel secure in that as well. So there does seem to be some very good news for Gemini here around finances and security. Also around opportunities, Spirit is saying, you've been working hard, for those that have been in the same sort of career or been working towards a particular objective and they're wanting to step out of that and do something quite new. It's sort of saying Spirit's going to make that happen for you in the near future, hopefully over this period of time. It looks like it is because you may not even know what it is you want to do yet, but with these cards here, this is the soul cards, this is what's close to the soul. It's about soul, that soul feeling, and it's about your talents and skills that you haven't yet developed because they're within your soul. This to do with past life situations where you have mastered this, but you may not have incorporated it into this lifetime yet. But you are meant to in this lifetime, according to these cards. So it's saying you're going to come to a new level. Whether that's a creative level, but it's like when we discover, like I said, a new skill and it relates to the old skill, but it allows us to do new things. This seems to be coming up quite strong for Gemini, wanting new things to experience. You're sick of the same old. They do like variety, and they like changeability of things. They're very adaptable and they're very capable of multitasking. So if they've just been doing the one thing, that could get very stale for Gemini. But there's this new inspiration, and again, travel could be coming into this. It was interesting, I was picking up so much travel, but I feel that this could just, if it's not going to be travel, it's going to be that you can actually grow and expand this year in the direction that you're wanting. But again, for those that are going to travel, I do feel like you can be drawn towards your, where your soul is. And it's the same for those that are discovering new abilities, abilities that they knew they had, they just haven't had the opportunity to work with because their career hasn't really allowed that. They're going to recognize that within their soul. So fantastic. Not too much to say when you've got so many aces, sort of change, everything's coming in new. Now with the aces, it's like it's change, it's new direction, but it's not always that fast, even though this is saying fast moving change around you. But with the aces, this is preparation. Like this idea, this saying here, the idea hasn't come yet. The idea is still going to come, but it's telling me that this is happening for this month. So you're going to know where you want to put your energy into for this year. This month is going to really come very clear to you what actions you want to take and where you want to place your energy. And this is Gemini taking action quite quickly, and you've got Mars in the first house, and you are Gemini, so you're not slow movers by any means anyway. You also have the Chariot around you, which is a very sort of Gemini card in the sense that it relates to mobility and movement, for, communications, but also travel, but more by vehicle. I see this as a vehicle. Anyone wanting a new car, great. But you may have been doing some road trips recently as well. So it looks really good for Gemini. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.